Hi everyone, welcome to the Break It Down podcast. Today I have a special guest. So, hi Ash, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Joel, thanks very much for having me.
You're welcome. Let's explain who you are, I suppose. So, Ash Downing, what do you do?
I'm technically a strength conditioning coach.
Okay.
So I work for the Great Britain archery team, the Olympic, Paralympic and junior setups.
Yep.
And that's my primary role really. So I kind of mainly training athletes. I've worked in lots of different sports as well, like rugby, hockey, lots of other like individual athletes and sports as well. But and I do personal training as well, injury rehabilitation, youth physical development stuff as well.
Okay.
So a bit of a mix really, and I have my own gym in Shrewsbury, or facility, where we do personal training, we do strength conditioning stuff, we do youth training, and we do like rehabilitation as well. So we have a physiotherapist as well at the gym, and he's the lead physiotherapist for British Gymnastics. So we've got two high-level practitioners in an elite sport, I suppose, and then we take that and we transfer that to the general public as well, and young people or youth athletes as well.
So what's your business called?
Salopia Health and Performance.
Okay.
So you can find us on Google. We've got a website as well. So lots of social media.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So today's podcast, the theme of it is keeping your marketing healthy. So obviously you come from a health and fitness background as such. I come from a marketing background, and we'll just sort of get into it as we go. But I guess topic on everyone's mind: how is lockdown treating you?
I mean, it's been interesting for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I think for a lot of people, it's probably been a bit of a crazy time. Obviously, the gym's closed. I'm not training any athletes as well at the moment. At Lilleshall, that's all been closed down.
Yeah.
So I've gone from a 100% almost coaching face-to-face people job to a job in front of the computer and doing lots of long-distance programming, video calls and things like that. So bit of a change up for me, I suppose, in terms of what I'm used to. But it's been challenging, I think, as it has for everyone. But you have to crack on, don't you? Give it. Try and relax sometimes, give yourself a bit of a break. I think a lot of people beat themselves up. I'm one of those people that I want to be productive all the time. I want to be moving forward, like the curse of the ambitious, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have to take your foot off the gas quite heavily in a time like this, I think it's quite difficult to, especially when you do what I do in a way where it's very people focused, face to face. It's I can't just carry on my business from home really. You have to take your foot off the gas quite a bit and look at alternatives or just getting by, I suppose, in a way, and then looking to rebuild in the future. So it's had its challenges, but it's not, it could have been a lot worse, I think, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so something that interests me purely on a non-marketing level, I guess, is the athletes you work with, I'm sure you're still in touch with them. What can they do at the moment if they're not training properly?
Not a great deal, or a massively stripped down program anyway. And it obviously depends like what type of athletes people be working with as well. But for me, I work with archers, so whether they can do bits at home or we do like things called bow drills sometimes where you're not actually shooting the bow. You're just drawing it up, doing holds. Basically, you're getting time of attention on the bow. We do specific drills and things so that we basically maintain like what we call bow fitness, if you like.
Yeah.
So maintaining your strength and endurance qualities on the bow and your technique a bit at the same time. So they're doing bits of that, doing what we call daily conditioning or prehab, which is injury prevention exercises, low-level exercises really for things like the shoulder, like the rotator cuff, keeping it all switched on. And then we're doing elements of strength training at home as well, but that's a big challenge. And as everyone will know, if they try to order any gym equipment, getting hold of any of that stuff is like gold dust. So we haven't had home gyms necessarily set up optimally. We've tried to order it all, which has been chaos, and everywhere's out of stock or price gone up 6 times the normal price.
Yeah, it'd be very easy to get hold of gym equipment after lockdown.
I can imagine it. Lots of people will be getting rid of it, and the price will come back down. But So it's been a challenge in terms of what they can do, but they're still getting bits done, still ticking over. The games has been postponed to the same time in 2021.
Yeah. So for the listeners, you mean the Olympic Games? It's just
yeah, sorry, yeah, Olympic Games and Paralympic Games as well.
Yeah.
They've both been delayed almost exactly the year, same dates, kind of 1 year on. So that means we're not in a rush to get back or to prepare for anything, which is good. Take you off the gas a little bit.
In terms of their programme, because that must be horrendous. I guess if you're in a sport like archery or nearly any Olympic sport apart from maybe football, you're on a 4-year cycle, and suddenly that you've been training to peak for summer this year, and that's been taken away. That must be horrendous.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think especially for some athletes are on the verge of retirement as well, which always happens when you have these 4-year cycles. You kind of sometimes time in it when they're going to finish their careers or what's their last game's going to be, and when they're on the verge of retirement already and you're trying to motivate yourself for that final year, to building up to the games, and then that's delayed another year, that creates quite a lot of problems. Or that's not, that's obviously difficult for them. But we've all, I guess coaches as well, we've all been preparing for this year, putting like lots of hard work in over the last few years, building up to it, and then obviously it gets delayed a year, which you do get a bit demotivated. It is a bit frustrating, and sometimes people look at sport and think, oh well, it's only sport, but for these guys, it's their entire life, and they're training super hard for. It's their full-time job. There's a lot of emotions in it as well, and will to succeed. And when they're training, 6 days a week, long days, lots of hours of training, and then it all gets kind of postponed or pushed under the carpet temporarily. It's challenging for them for sure, and for staff as well. Yeah,
it must be awful. I mean, it's bad enough, for me as a business owner, keeping my staff motivated and there's no kind of clear end in sight and stuff, but for an elite level athlete, it must be something else. For people that are that focused to suddenly not know quite what they're focusing on must be horrendous.
Yeah, and they don't have anything else to do. If they spend all their time training, they probably don't do that much outside of training in a way. And then you've gone from training all those hours all the time to suddenly not being able to do very much and stuck at home. And so it has a lot of similar challenges, I suppose, to other people, but it's definitely a difficult time. I think a lot of archers as well. This is not necessarily the same for all sports people, but archers tend to be like archery through and through. So like that's their life. And it's quite a community feel within the sport as well, so they'll be going to clubs at weekends and shooting as well, shooting together with friends and things like that. So it's quite a big challenge around that, I think, when that's pretty much a lot of what they do day to day, to suddenly not be doing very much and not socialising at all.
That's I guess for archery, I can see as a layman, someone who doesn't know much about it, that there's the potential to be able to train those muscles and look after yourself at home to an extent. But what about like rugby? If you were rugby sevens or something, how the hell do you look after yourself?
I mean, again, like, what's their home setup like? If they've invested and they've got tons of dumbbells and weights and things at home, then from a physical point of view, they'll be able to maintain a lot of strength and muscle mass and things. And then obviously they can go out and exercise outdoors, so we've been blessed by some pretty good weather, so they would have been able to get a lot of their running loads in. Again, depending on the type of program they're following, there's obviously a lot that goes on in like a sevens match or even 15s, where you've got decelerating, you've got changing direction, you've got the jumping and landing, the kicking, all those elements. So you have to maintain all that stuff. If you just suddenly stop doing all that, it's interesting, like football's coming back as well. It seems like it's quite a short time frame on some of this stuff. I'm not sure exactly when football games are resuming, but I heard like potentially, I don't know, maybe within 4 weeks or even the staging of training, where it sounds like they're jumping week by week into more and more intense activity, and
they're going to be injured. They're going to be injured. I thought
looking from the outside in, I'm looking at that with a raised eyebrow because that training spike and training load could be pretty huge. And if you look at like hamstring injuries in football, for example, anyway, they are quite common. They shouldn't be, to be honest, but they are quite common. And when they're ramping their training up this fast, and as you said, as everyone is, a bit demotivated at times and things like that, if they haven't been really on their training at home, like with lots of running, lots of like deceleration drills and change directions, jumping and landing and stuff, kind of keeping that training load in the body, then they suddenly expose themselves back to it at full speed. It could be pretty disastrous.
I mean, I've just watched The Last Dance on Netflix, the Michael Jordan documentary, and
people have been raving about that, haven't they?
It is awesome. But I mean, if you want to watch a documentary about the mindset for success, it's amazing. But obviously halfway through his career he switched to play baseball, and then when he came back to basketball he had to retrain his body again because his body had forgotten essentially how to play basketball. He could do it mentally, he could do it, and he still had the skill attributes, but he didn't have the muscle density in the right areas to actually play the sport like he needed to.
And you'll soon lose that if you stop doing it. And it's sports are highly specific, aren't they, in terms of movement patterns and stuff as well. One sport's not the same as the other, and obviously baseball and basketball are quite different. So it is interesting. You got to put a lot of time into training and maintaining structures of muscle or whatever, and types of training. Like you'd have been doing bits of running in baseball, of course, but not as much change direction, jumping and landing, for example. So you've got to retrain all that stuff. So I haven't actually watched the documentary yet. I need to watch that. It's on my list. It's popping up.
I couldn't put it down. There was 2 episodes a week for 5 weeks, and I watched it in the 5 weeks. It's just
10
awesome.
episodes, is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And it's awesome. Just I would say he's probably, a lot of people who watch it and think he's not a very nice person by the end, because he's so dedicated and so driven to success, almost to the point that he's willing to do anything. But then, most people, including me, will never be that successful. So you can't really judge. It's sort of...
it's interesting. Almost like takes that certain type of character or mindset, doesn't it? You do have to be quite ruthless, I think, in a elite sport. You have to be sometimes a bit of a diva and be quite ruthless with what you want and how you train in, and it's it doesn't really surprise me. You can't, questionable whether the really nice guy gets to the very top sometimes. I don't know.
I mean, certainly, I guess you could be a nice person away from the sport, but when it comes down to it, you've got to have that ruthless streak.
Yeah, especially in terms of competition, for sure. You gotta want it more than anything, I suppose. And nothing can get in your way, kind of thing, kind of mentality.
It's just amazing the stuff he achieved, and he applied the same mentality to marketing himself as a brand and to building himself as a business. And I think he was the first black athlete to be worth over $1 billion, and just unbelievable what he achieved.
He definitely set himself up right, didn't he, with the Nike trainers and that as well. So we talked about that on the last podcast, because most people were on kind of $100,000 a year for their clothing deals and stuff, and all the athletes in the NBA wore Converse, and then Nike, who at the time were quite not a startup, but they were a small American sports brand, approached him and offered him $3 million to wear their shoes, and he went with it, and people thought he was mad because nobody wore Nike in basketball before. And Nike hoped to make their money back in the first 4 years, and in the first year they did $136 million of sales of the shoe. Crazy. They definitely got it right then.
Just mental. But so coming back to kind of you and what you're about. So I'm a client of yours. I'm not an elite athlete. Absolutely not an elite athlete. You're not allowed to laugh at that point.
No, I don't laugh. Don't worry.
But I think when I approached you, and this explains kind of what you do for Joe Blogs, man on the street. I sent you the most detailed email for an initial inquiry that anybody's ever sent about I'm overweight, my knees are weak, perhaps damaged, but I'm not sure. My hips are weak. I get problems with my lower back. I need to do some strength and conditioning coaching to put my body in the right place before I move forward with my training. And that's why I sought you out. That was kind of how I saw your niche in the local market, was you would be able to handle that, where perhaps some personal trainers, that's kind of like a bit beyond what they're offering.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely bring something slightly different to the table, and obviously anyone could lose weight, for example. There's so many methods. You could almost do it online, or you could Google it, or you could go to lots of personal trainers with that goal in mind. And a lot of personal trainers will beast clients, I suppose, in a way, just to burn lots of calories, just to get the weight down. But that doesn't mean that you're treating the body in the right way at the same time, or are you getting them stronger to protect them at the same time so that they don't get any further injuries? Or there's a way to do it as well, like impact and things like that. So obviously if someone's overweight, let's take you as a case, so you obviously said you're overweight, your knees and back were hurting and stuff like that. If we started doing loads of jumping around and smashing like lots of impact and things, that would be the worst decision we could make. So I think there's other ways to look at training sometimes in terms of like what's the adaptation, or what's the outcome of the training that you're trying to do, and how do we do that in like the safest and most effective way. And I think another reason you came to me was like for like a bit more scientific input, wasn't it, in terms of like using science and being quite tactical about how we're going to go about things. And
I mean, I think hopefully at some point I'll be a good case study, but pre-lockdown my progress was significant compared to progress I'd had in the gym before, and I think that's something that's really important for anybody doing any kind of training, is to actually see results. Yeah,
for sure. Obviously pre-lockdown, before we had to can it all, but definitely it was we were on the right path. You had a bit of illness in there as well, didn't you? Which was
potentially had coronavirus.
Potentially, yeah. So that was a bit of a challenge in terms of when you're a bit run down, not very well. Training becomes a challenge, and nutrition becomes a challenge as well. So that was one little hurdle we had to overcome. But for sure, it's positive to hear that you said you're having more progress than normal in the gym, and we had some structured sessions and plans to follow, and nutrition to log, and we're making great progress. I actually looked, like last time we did a session was like literally 2 months, 2 whole months that we haven't been training. So
was it? Okay, wow.
To the day.
Yeah, and then you murdered me in a field. So
yeah, a bit of outdoor training, a bit of muscle soreness. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad after the second one though. So
bit better recovery.
Must be doing all right. Yeah.
Yeah, rebuilding.
Hopefully. Let's hope so. Need to. So what's your plan then? Where do you see your business going? Because we will come out of lockdown, and locally you've got quite a tight niche that you're offering something that other people aren't offering. How are you going to get that out there? Yeah,
it's going to be interesting, I guess for me as well. Like, no one really knows what everything's going to look like, and you obviously need to be positive and optimistic about what the future looks like.
Yeah.
I have there's been a bit of a recent survey of people as well, and it said 87% of current gym members are gonna resume their memberships. Now that's obviously memberships and not one-to-one training, which I think you have to look at very differently, because memberships aren't as expensive as one-to-one training, so it's going to give you a slightly different marketing pool, I suppose. And then and it said 27% of people that don't currently go to the gym would be looking to join. So from a bit of market research, if you like. It looks like some people will drop off, but some people want to start. So hopefully it kind of maintains where it was at before, in terms of interest, and hopefully finances of people is still there to get back into some fitness, because it's kind of a luxury at the end of the day, isn't it? It's not a necessity of people's lives, although it probably should be. It's how people want to spend their money as well.
I think that's where you are with your marketing pitch though as well, isn't it? That I reached a point in my life, and probably age, that made me reach that point where I was going downhill quite quickly. So gaining weight, starting to get sore in places I'd never been sore before. And also then it starts to affect your mental health. You become lethargic. You're perhaps not as sharp as you want to be at work. And actually that's a great target audience for you. The people that kind of almost want to slow down the process of aging to an extent, but look after their well-being in general, not just be fit or be strong, but wellness.
Yeah, massively, and that's why Salopia, that's why the business is called Salopia Health and Performance as well. It's not all about performance related goals or tasks necessarily. Health is a dominant thing as well, and whether that's mental health, physical health, thinking about what you eat and what you put in your body at the same time, not just what you look like, because aesthetically people can look good but not be healthy, or you could actually have what would be classed as a good BMI but actually be unhealthy. So there's a lot more to it, I think, for sure, that kind of wraps around all this stuff.
Yeah.
But 100% people, hopefully people kind of get back into this stuff and start, maybe investing more money into their health, long term. And one thing that's coming out of this coronavirus is listen to a podcast the other day, and this guest was on it, Dr. Eric Serrano, and he's saying that basically 99% of people who have died from the virus were overweight or obese, and 90% were obese. So there is a health element, potentially as well, that people might want to be addressing in terms of looking after themselves, immune system, and how their body would fight off, any infectious diseases or viruses or whatever. The healthier you can get your body, it's not just like necessarily how you feel or what you look like, but what's the quality of your life going to be like long term, and do you want to put yourself in the best position, I guess, to have a good life and stay from it. Like what you said about aging as well, you start this stuff when you're younger, rather than trying to like fix the problems when you're older. It's kind of like, well, if we set you up right now and we build that over a period of time, then hopefully you have less health issues and you have less injuries, or you can stay physically active for longer as well. Like I'm a big believer that a lot of the elderly who are less mobile now and struggling to move around more is because they've started moving less and they've got physically weaker because they've started doing less. And I'm a huge believer in that. So I think there's a massive market for people who want to kind of prolong their ability to be physically active and healthy and getting out and about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to train in judo, and in our judo club there was a 75-year-old, and he was as strong as an ox and fit as a fiddle. So there's no reason other 75-year-olds couldn't be. It's not. Yeah. It's not.
He's beating up lots of the younger ones.
Well, yeah, because he'd also got 55 years of judo experience. So knew all the tricks of the trade. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's it. I've seen plenty of elderly people, like even in their 80s, like lifting big weights. And if you lift them correctly and safely, there's no reason why they shouldn't be doing that. And they maintain lots of strength, lots of muscle mass, and therefore it makes it easy for them to move around and things. So it's 100% a massive area that it does seem to be a growing kind of area. I think market. Like I think people are starting to pay more attention to it, but probably not quite to the extent that it could do with being kind of prioritized, but definitely something that people should be considering.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of someone in your industry, with all due respect, you're the easiest industry to market, because for you probably want someone if we were to set your client avatar, you probably want someone with a slightly scientific mind. They probably want to be thinking about their health and their wellness or their performance from a results perspective. So test and measure, that they're not necessarily just looking in the mirror and taking a photo. They probably will have some sort of interest in nutrition. They'll have an interest in fitness, an interest in strength. They might have an interest in supplements, and suddenly you're starting to build a character profile that's very specific.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we do train quite a varying demographic of clients in a way, but for sure, someone that for people that are like looking for specific results and are quite serious about their training, that's definitely something that I guess we're looking for, or those are the people that like we appeal to the most with our kind of backgrounds. So yeah, definitely, people that want to take it quite seriously and kind of focus on the details, and probably attract slightly different clients to a lot of personal trainers, and I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, we did a podcast last week about finding your niche and how many businesses are very afraid of narrowing down because they worry that they're excluding money, basically. But the reality is, the narrower you get it, the easier it is for your business, because there's less friction, because you find the right people. And I think for you, that applies massively. Hi, Joel and Andy here. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We're loving sharing our marketing tips with you.
If you'd like to kickstart your marketing, why not jump on a discovery call? Simply visit codebreak.co.uk and apply there. Hopefully speak to you soon.
Take care.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I think that's definitely a danger a lot of people feel that they'd slip into, isn't it? And to be honest, I probably batted between being very specific and going back to being very general, and then kind of moving back and forth, because it's when you haven't got those marketing expertise, I suppose it does become a challenge in terms of how you market yourself, and whether you go specific or general. And I kind of have quite a few services as well, so it's kind of like how do you spread that out with your services that you offer, because although we have a specific maybe way of working in terms of science-driven kind of coaching, we also target different markets in terms of like the youth stuff, the rehabilitation stuff, athletes, and the general public, general health and fitness as well. So kind of you've got quite a big, broad area spectrum of services there in a way, but maybe a similar approach in terms of like the science and the technique.
So your age demographic might be quite broad, but your characteristics within that demographic are all quite tight. I think that's really important, because something I say to clients, whether I should say this or not, is you can't just throw as much shit at the wall and see what sticks. It's not how life works. You'll spend a lot of money doing that.
Yeah, you definitely would. And I guess a lot depends on the size of the business as well. Obviously, mine's a small business. Then obviously finances come into play, don't they? In terms of like you say, how much money are you going to throw at it? And there's always that concern if you don't know exactly where you're going to throw that money, or if you don't hone in on something, I suppose you're going to spread yourself too thin and not get very good results from it, probably.
Yeah, and I think another one for you, and I'm going to pick on you now, you didn't know this was coming, but referral marketing. Just being cheeky enough to ask people, do you know anyone that would be interested in this service? Because you've never asked me, and it might be that I'm an awful example of a client, because I showed up ill once. Lockdown happened shortly after working with me, so I might be cursed. But
you brought it to the whole world.
Yes, but just that simple thing of, do you know anyone that might be interested in this? If you refer someone to me, I'll give you a free session.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it has been in my plan before, but just not something I've really rolled out. I'm not the type of person that asks for a lot of help generally. And that's probably, a weakness of mine in a way. Like, I probably should feel more inclined to ask people. But I don't ask people in general, really. Obviously, word of mouth's great. If people wanna talk about me and refer me. But yeah, if I ask more people, that would be an easy marketing tool.
Yeah, I
more
think
referrals like that for sure.
a lot of business owners struggle with that because they're so independent. Essentially, you're normally quite a focused individual if you run your own business. That asking for help almost feels like a weakness. And you just kind of have to, from a marketing perspective, you just have to reframe that. Am I asking for help, or am I making the boat go faster? Am I making my business better?
Yeah, true. And arguably at the same time, like you said, if it's a referral scheme, well, that client gets a free session, well, they get something out of it at the same time, don't they? So it's not just a one-way street then, is it?
I've got another one to pick on you with. You'll like this. Sorry. You don't offer merch to your clients?
Yeah, that's true. That's another thing that I have considered but not done anything about.
And so speaking personally, I go to my office. Within our office building, there's probably 80 people. Not in our company solely, but obviously that day I'm probably wearing gym kit because I'm coming to see you later on. Yeah. If I'm wearing a Salopia health and performance, health and performance hoodie, I'm a walking advert for you.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, admittedly, maybe don't give me the hoodie till I've lost a few more pounds, so that a good advert. But
yeah, you're definitely right about that. It's like you said, it's free advertisement, isn't it? In a way, when they're walking around like a walking billboard in a way. And yeah, for sure, that's another good idea that should probably be implemented a lot more.
Yeah, there's different ways you could go about it, because you could either get someone to design you some really cool merch that people want to buy, and then it's a small income stream for you. You're never going to sell loads of it. Or with your clients, you set them goals. You don't tell them, but when they reach one of those goals, you give them a hoodie. And it's probably cost you 15 quid, but then they're a walking advert for you for the next 2 years. So there's things you can do.
That's interesting one. I haven't really thought about that for sure. Like rewards-based merch. That is interesting. Yeah, definitely something that could implement.
And then what you get with that is when new clients come on board, some of them will be like, "Oh, I joined because I want one of those hoodies," and you're like, "Well, when you lose 10 kilos, you can have one." Sort of. Or
Do you think there's some psychology in not telling them the goal then, do you?
I don't think they should come and on day one you say, I don't know, increase your bench by 30 kilos and we'll give you a hoodie. I think it should be more that in session 7 they've reached a goal that you knew was important to them, and you just give them the hoodie. It's almost like unexpected.
Like an unexpected reward, for their hard work.
Because
they'll then feel good about it, won't they?
Yeah, the first thing they'll do is leave, put their hoodie on, get home. Look what I got. Ash gave me a hoodie. Well, what for? Well, I've lost 5 kilos, but I've also improved my bench by 20 kilos, and he gave me a hoodie. And then they'll probably tell the next 20 people they come into contact with as well. And it kind of... there's absolutely no way that there's any personal trainers or gyms locally doing that.
Definitely not in that format. Some have merchandise, I think, but not on a big scale, and not.
They'll all have like sports bottles. You see that a lot. They've all got water bottles. A lot of them have like the lanyards that you can have your gym pass on. But in terms of actual merch that will advertise, wearable merch, something that you'd actually want to wear, I guess. It's why people sponsor sports teams, isn't it? They want to get their brand out in front of people. But for you've got people who are already bought into you because they keep coming back, and you'll know the clients that you want to give it to, the ones that are actually loyal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely going to have a think about
that. That's £500.
Yeah, plus the merch.
Yeah. I think you'd be. Yeah, I think that's a clear one that'll definitely put you in front of people.
Yeah, it's easy, isn't it? And arguably a lot of people could end up seeing it. So
Yeah.
that's a good idea for sure.
So where do your leads come from at the moment? How do people find you?
Most of it's probably organic, really, in
Yep.
terms of social media and word of mouth. Do get some referrals, even though I don't don't ask for them, or don't do a reward-based referral scheme. But I don't do a lot of paid adverts. We did some Google stuff, physiotherapy, and we've done some Facebook stuff before as well.
Yeah.
Not something, but mainly organic and word of mouth. And I've tried to contact a lot of local kind of sports teams and things as well, like directly. And that wasn't that effective, whether timing or picking up emails and messages or finances, because obviously you contact the local sports team as a strength and conditioning coach, but not any local sports teams around here have really got any money to input into external help. So you probably got the local football club, and that's literally it. So it's a challenge to do it that way, which in the past I've used that, say in Sheffield, or where there's more finances for sport, I suppose, in a bigger city.
Yeah, sure. So you need that influx of man on the street, sort of people like me, maybe some of the youngsters you work with who are coming in for various reasons, be it mobility, getting their energy out, training for the sports that they're in, and then I guess people who are self-funded athletes as well.
Yeah, exactly. I have a triathlete, for example, and a gymnast and an archer. They kind of come and do some private, like, one-to-one stuff. So yeah, they're self-funded athletes, if you like.
Yeah.
And yeah, young people that want to move better and things like that. And like you said, people like yourself. So quite a few different varying types of clients.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of it is one-to-one as well, so you're not necessarily targeting groups. But
That's something we haven't mentioned. That's, again, obviously you've got a gym, it's your gym, and if someone books a session with you, it's you and them. There's not going to be anyone else watching. There's not going to be any interruption, really.
Well, yeah, so it's almost fully private, but not. I have other trainers that come in and do sessions in there as well, but it's not a big public gym, so it's I call it like a semi-private space, really.
Yeah.
There's hardly anyone in there. There's probably 2 or 3 or 4 people in the building at one time.
Yeah.
Not a big public gym with lots of meatheads smashing weights around in the weights area that puts a lot of people off.
Not unless I'm there.
Yeah. Oh, of course, yeah. smashing all the weights around, yeah. That's true. I'll have to book them around you.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll be all right. I doubt they'll be intimidated.
I'm sure they will. We have quite a good vibe at the gym, I think. We don't have,
I think so.
Don't have anyone like that in the gym, all really nice people, other trainers and their clients, I think that's what you should have in a gym facility as well, and I think that's something different that we offer that no one else really offers is that kind of semi-privatized space, and kind of nice feel to it, and no judge. Don't even have a mirror in the gym, to be quite honest. Not really a fan of mirrors. I don't think you should be getting to the gym posing in the mirror for your entire gym session. So
exactly.
Vibe.
I get that's something, isn't it? You're there to monitor their form, so therefore they don't need a mirror to monitor.
Precisely. Mirrors can work good, like you said, for monitoring form if you haven't got someone that's coaching you or helping you out. But I guess they also bring that vanity, looking in the mirror, kind of vibes as well. But each to their own.
Yeah, and it's a separate product, isn't it? I'm a member of a local gym, and I go there with friends, basically to smash some weights and have a bit of a chill, and then go sit in the jacuzzi. When I come and see you, that's not what I'm coming for.
Yeah, definitely different. People don't come to me for as much of a social.
Yeah.
Although we have a bit of a social, I think it's important to have a bit of a chat and enjoy training at the same time.
But we've got to know each other. We both basically seem to talk about boxing all the time. So
Yeah, a lot of boxing, yeah, for sure.
A lot of boxing chat.
Business.
Boxing business, yeah.
Maybe that's a new podcast in itself.
Well, we had it recently where you were saying, I think Mike Tyson could stand a chance, and I was like, I'm not sure, I don't think so. But, and then I went home and watched Mike Tyson against Danny Williams to remind myself how awful he was last time he fought.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, you see him on those pads at the moment, he does look like an animal.
Yeah, but then obviously you've got experience of elite athletes. Do you think he looks like an animal, but is that just because he was a professional boxer? But if you put Tony Bellew or Anthony Joshua or David Hay on the pads, they'd look equally as mean as that, surely.
Of course they'd look equally as mean, yeah. But for someone that's
53 years old.
Yeah, 53. I would just say that he doesn't look like he's lost a lot of speed.
No.
But in terms of fitness, yeah, and durability and taking shots and core strength, and it might be a different story. It might be a different story, in a very, very aggressive bout.
Yeah, stay away from him for the first minute and you'll be all right.
Yeah. But I don't know. No one knows that until they get in that ring. No one really knows. Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. Everyone's saying Conor McGregor is going to get absolutely annihilated, instantly. And he goes in and gets 10 rounds on one of the best boxers ever.
Oh, see.
Okay.
So we both like combat sports. So did Floyd Mayweather just toy with him? Because that's what put the money in the bank. The pay-per-view money, they basically had to guarantee the pay-per-view companies X many number of rounds.
No, I don't believe so. No. If you go back and watch the fight, Conor McGregor uses a completely different style to what Floyd uses, as in he changes the angles quite a lot. He turns a lot. So he's 1 minute he's in front of you, the next minute he's to the side of you, punching you in the side of the face.
Yeah.
No boxer really fights like that. That's a very mixed martial arts style.
Of course, because he's trying to get the angle for a throw normally.
Or to throw a kick, or just to kind of circle off and get to the side where you can land some different shots. So you don't ever see boxers really doing that. It's all very straight line kind of stuff. But I don't think so. I think then Floyd changed his style up and just walked into him and gassed him out. Conor McGregor, I don't know whether he's got problems with his gas tank. I think he has, personally, from when I see him fight.
Yeah, well, in MMA, he definitely struggles in the third and fourth round in MMA,
Yeah, and in the boxing, he only lost because he got tired, really. He only got stopped because he got tired. He didn't get stopped because technically he wasn't good enough to compete with him. He just couldn't maintain the gap. He couldn't throw enough punches to keep him off him, and Floyd just walked him down, in my opinion, from when I watched it a few times. But it's just, again, if he can do that, for example, against Floyd Mayweather, can Mike Tyson, can he make a comeback and do something? I'm not saying he's going to become world champion or be the best, but you never know. I don't think you can write everyone off sometimes.
I see it from two sides. I'm absolutely huge sports enthusiast, so for me, it's sports porn. I'm just like, do it. Let me watch it. Let me pay for it. Take my money.
Well, that's the thing. People pay and watch, don't they?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
The other side of it, obviously, I see it from a marketing angle, particularly McGregor-Mayweather, obviously the biggest fight there's ever been in terms of finance, in terms of money. I think, what was it? They got did they get $100 million each or something crazy?
I think Floyd got more than McGregor, but around that ballpark figure for sure.
Yeah, and you just, from a marketing perspective, it's easy. It's just we've got two of the best people from their respective sports, and they're also personalities. They're great on the mic. They know how to sell a show. They know how to cause controversy. We're going to put them in an arena, and then that's when my cynical side says, well, does it have to last a certain amount of time, because they need to show so many adverts in between rounds to bloody pay for this thing, basically.
It's possible. It's been done in sport before, isn't it? That type of that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, Mayweather did it a year later, didn't he? He went to Japan.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. I didn't even watch it. I don't think most people probably watched it, to be honest.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah, just ridiculous, really. I don't even know why he did that, but obviously it made him a lot of money. That's obviously why he did it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. But I'm not convinced. I'm quite a big McGregor fan, but I'd like to think I'm not overly biased as well. It'd be interesting if they went again. I think McGregor's got a completely different style now. I think he's got a lot more. If he did a full-on boxing camp with a boxing coach, because he did it with his MMA coaches, and that's not the same. And if you watched him against Donald Cerrone as well, he and his training videos leading up to it, he's got a completely different style now. I think. It'd be dead interesting to watch him, because he kind of reflected after the fight and said that Floyd changed his style and he didn't know how to deal with it. And if you watch the fight, it's quite clear that Floyd changed his style, and McGregor just didn't have enough boxing experience or training to know how to adopt or adapt to that new style, that different style. So if he came in fully prepared for these different styles, it'd be dead interesting in it. If he came in with a better gas tank as well. I know he's got his own McGregor Fast training program, which I'm not sure, because he hasn't got a great gas tank from what I see. So it'd be interesting. Who knows?
Yeah. Obviously his head went to pieces after the Mayweather fight, and his
a lot of money.
Yeah, but his UFC kind of suffered for it.
For sure.
But he seems to be on the comeback trail now. He seems to calling everybody out.
He's a bit of a king of marketing, don't you think?
Absolutely. And there's something that to do with niching that we were mentioning before. He's very Marmite. You love him or hate him.
Yeah.
And he knows it. If you watch the McGregor documentary on Netflix, he's actually, or I think it might be on Amazon, it's on one of the two. He's actually a nice bloke. He's quite family orientated, very close to his Irish roots. Comes from nothing. Really is a self-made man. But then he saw the opportunity to make big money by deliberately being divisive, by being aggressive, by calling people out, by swearing in public press conferences where nobody's ever really sworn like that before. And then the extravagant suits came, and then the fur coats came, and he's a one-man marketing machine. Yeah, the walk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing that before UFC.
No, that's true. Yeah. He definitely knows what he's doing. I think he's himself as well. As in, I know he's a nice guy. I do believe he's a nice guy underneath. I do believe that he's got some good values and things around that. But I think he gets very competitive as well, and he wants to get in their head from a psychology point of view. Yeah. And I think you can turn that on. So when I say he's being himself, I think he just is himself sometimes when he's being dead competitive and aggressive and calling these people out and trying to get into their head and that. And I think people believe it as well. That he's not completely putting that on for entertainment. I don't believe. I believe that's just who he is when the competitive side of him comes out, and he just enjoys winding them up.
and he understands, because he's smart, that it isn't just about entertainment. It's about putting bums in seats. It's about making people buy the pay-per-view. Yeah. And so there's like a two-factor to it. One, he needs to win, so he needs to get in their head and make them feel like he's supremely confident. But two, he needs to attract enough people to the show that they'll buy it, and that might be because they hate him and they want to see him lose, or because they love him and they want to see him win. So in terms, he wins. Yeah, exactly. In terms of pay-per-view and UFC, it doesn't matter if they hate or love you. Obviously, in other businesses, if people hate you, they're probably not going to buy from you.
Yeah.
But equally, the ones that love you are much easier to work with.
Yeah, I don't think that would work in my business, would it?
I think there's, you're a nice guy, but someone could listen to this podcast today and be like, oh, well, I'm a personal trainer. I could do everything he's just said.
Yeah, true.
And they're not going to like it, are they? But tough. That's the way of the world. There's people out there that will not like Codebreak's approach to marketing. They won't like it because we're quite aggressive. We're not afraid to be loud. We're very values-based, so everything comes back to our core values. And if you don't agree with our core values, you're not going to like us. And I'm fine with that. There's other marketing agencies out there for those people.
Yeah, you're just being genuine to your brand and your values, aren't you, and the way that you want to work. And as you said, people have choices, don't they? They can decide to work with that or not, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it literally says on our website, rules of engagement, don't be a dick. So if you think you're a bit of a dick, you can't work with us. And also, we won't work with anyone we wouldn't be willing to go for a drink with, because that's a really important thing. If something's not going well with your marketing, or something's going really well with your marketing, if I can't sit down with you and talk about that in a forensic fashion and maybe even criticise your business, then it's never going to work.
Yeah.
And you know, Conor McGregor, if his trainers can't say to him, well, Conor, your left hook is leaving you wide open, he'll never improve.
Hey everybody, it's Ferguson Jen here. We actually recently noticed that not all of you who are listening to this podcast are actually subscribed.
So why don't you click on the subscribe button so you don't miss out?
Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely got to be open to the critique, haven't you, and learning and alternative options or views and.
Yeah, or for you, it's, you know, if a client comes in, or it might be a parent of a child that you're training, because they're the client really. If they're constantly telling you that I do it this way, they're not an ideal client for you.
No, I wouldn't be training them for very long.
Yeah, there you go. And it doesn't matter how much money they pay, it's not worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely got to be honest at how you want to work, haven't you? And,
yeah. If I turn around to you and say, I'm never doing a deadlift again because you just make me do it all the time and it's not working, at that point, I think you would probably start to think, well, this isn't going to work out long term.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a balance. I do believe people, you know, have some element of choice, obviously, in their training as well. They've got to enjoy it and do it, but it depends how you approach it. We'd probably have a debate about it. That's how I tend to work.
Yeah.
Same with my athletes. They tell me they don't want to do something or they want to change something. I'm like, okay, well, why? You know, you've got to have a very good reason. And we'll chat about it. And I'll say, well, I think this is the optimal exercise for you, or this is the optimal program, or how we split it up, or how we train. Or if you do that session there that I've just programmed for you and you do it half-assed, well, you're wasting your time because it's not going to work, you know. So there's an element of honesty and reality to the training. You've got to be honest with each other about, you know, what you want.
I've got a clear example of that. So Saturday, we're in a field. You're making me throw a ball in the air, and I haven't got much left in the tank because, you know, at the end of an hour session and probably lockdown related unfit at the moment. But you're basically saying to me, I know you can throw that ball higher.
Yeah, I remember this.
You're polite about it, but that's what you're saying to me. I know you can throw that ball higher. And sure enough, the last 3 throws, I probably threw it higher than I did the first throw.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I could have turned around and said, no, I can't, and stormed off. It's that kind of, that's the balance, isn't it? I'm paying you to not only make me better, but also to hold me accountable.
Yeah, it's challenge you, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
To push you outside your comfort zone, or, you know, I see it all the time when people tell me they couldn't do any more reps on an exercise as well. And everyone's different in terms of trainers and things, but I've done a lot of velocity-based training in the past, where you measure the bar speed or the speed of an exercise, and at one point I got highly proficient at basically predicting the speed in like meters per second.
Okay.
Like I'd be able to watch it without looking at the numbers on the device and tell you how fast you were moving the bar, because I was doing it every day in professional rugby or at the university.
Yeah.
So although I'm probably not as proficient at predicting the exact number anymore, I know when someone's at failure or when someone's really, really struggling, and I know when they're not. So it's interesting when people tell me that they can't do any more. You definitely got to be honest about that. And
you'll know if it's mental or physical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I know I've pushed myself to do an extra rep sometimes, and you've said to me, I could see your hamstrings were going there, or I could see you had a weakness in your knees there. And I was like, well, I thought I felt all right. And you're looking at me like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm gauging what I think you can physically or mentally do. And to be honest, the same with anyone. Most of the time it's mental. Most of the time it isn't actually physical. Most of the time people just think they can't push through one more rep or whatever, but actually it's there. And I think we had that with press ups or something as well the other day.
I was. Well, we changed the positioning, hadn't we, on a press up, and basically I was using muscles I probably haven't used properly before.
Yeah.
And I think this was the third set, and I could only get halfway through the set, and you were like, all right, just take a breather and then finish. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, but that's fine, because we got intensity from it in the end.
Yeah.
We did a cluster set where we just did as many reps as we could, had a short break, and then finished off as many reps as we could after that.
Yeah.
Therefore we get a bit more training load, a bit more time and attention, a bit more adaptation. But for sure, it's you got to have that relationship though, I think, as well. Like, I guess this is getting back to what we were talking about, is the relationship where you can have those honest conversations and call each other out or discuss things that that you could change or do better or whatever. So you've got to, like you said, your values have got to go. You should be able to go for a drink and have a chat with them. I think that's the same really. For the clients that I train, I should be able to get on with you well and debate some stuff, without it being one way or the other. I'm not a dictatorial, like, authoritarian personal trainer that's just going to shout at you and tell you what to do and beast you all the time. It's a bit of give and take, but ultimately people can't just come and get away with doing whatever they want.
It's that open relationship, and I have this with our clients on a marketing level. I have to be able to kind of forensically analyse what's going on with their business, because if I send someone 100 leads and they don't make any sales, they'll blame the leads, and I have to be able to have that honest conversation and say, well, if you have to look at your sales processes, because I'm confident that these are good leads, and for you, it's you, for example, you knew my training was going quite well back in February, but I wasn't dropping weight as quickly as we thought I would. And so we had a look at my diet and my calorie intake, and you were like, yeah, we just have to drop your calories some more. And some people wouldn't take to that very well. That's the level of openness you need to have.
Yeah, for sure. And we wanted to get the drop right, and so it wasn't too extreme, but we had to kind of play it. I think it's always an experimentation phase of playing around with that just to get it right. And a lot of people don't like dropping their calories too far. They definitely get a bit aggy, a bit hangry on the lower calories. But that was what we had to do, and then it started working, and the weight started dropping off. So.
Yeah, exactly. And much the same for us with marketing process. We can come to a business and drive 1,000 clicks to their website, and they'll turn around and perhaps say, it's made no tangible difference to our business. And then we say, well, let's have a look at your website then. Or let's have a look at who answers the phone when you get an inquiry. Or let's have a look at the kind of messaging you're using, because do people think that you should be lucky for you getting their business, or do people think that they should aspire to work with you? Two completely different psychologies for the same outcome. And that's kind of the level of detail you need to get down into, and the kind of how open a relationship needs to be. Yeah.
But have you got any kind of thoughts on where you see the economy like rebouncing back to, or even locally, or even beyond that, I suppose, in terms of how much this whole situation is going to affect people?
I think, I'm not an economist by any means, but I suspect we're going to see a recession like we've never seen before, with businesses we've all heard of going under, which is horrendous. But I also think that small businesses shouldn't be afraid of that. I know there's a knock-on, and lots of small businesses sell into big businesses, but the there is a way through. There'll always be people that need personal training. There'll always be people that need marketing. There'll always be people that need their car servicing. There'll always be people who want to buy vegan products. There'll always be people who want to buy beard balm. And just because people have less money doesn't mean there isn't an audience out there for you.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it. I mean, I started my first business in the last recession, and basically the way I saw it was, there's an opportunity here because there's less competition, because people are struggling, for me to put myself in front of people. And I think that's where we'll be now, which in a sense is very sad. And I realise there's lots of people who've worked really hard to get their businesses to where they are today who might not make it through to the other side. But there's lots of businesses that will have an opportunity to show how strong their business is and how strong their offering is, and become market leaders on the other side of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar in gyms in a way. Like any gym that's kind of operating on their threshold, I suppose.
Yeah.
Might be in trouble off the back of this. And like you said, you might get some that can't stay open, and then others that grow because of that, I suppose. So it swings and roundabouts in a way as well.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
And how do you see you guys coming out of this on the other side? What's your plan?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting is the word that I keep throwing out there. I mean, you just don't know, do you, in terms of whether people are going to be able to afford it, or whether they're losing their jobs, or businesses are going under. And I think lots of people's businesses are going to go under from this. So I kind of attract quite a lot of people that run their own businesses, I suppose. So whether there's a challenge for me with that, who knows? But I think I'm really hoping that people really latch on to the health element and really start to prioritize that, because a lot of people say they can't afford personal training, or they can't afford memberships or classes, or even the small group kind of personal training or whatever, depending on wherever you go to train. But I think a lot of people actually probably can afford it, but it's all not priorities.
Priority, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, well, they'll go out on nights out and spend hundreds of pounds, or buy loads of takeaways and bad food, or I don't know, spend loads of money socially all the time, or buying just random bits of junk off Amazon. Whereas if they reprioritize their money and spending, could they afford to do that? Or people say like Shrewsbury Club or Ballantyne's, for example, gym memberships too expensive. Well, not actually that much money a month when you actually think about it. If you actually started kind of looking at what you buy in, one thing that you could buy in a month easily could be covering your gym membership that you don't even need.
Take your daily Starbucks out of your life, and you could
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, for the last, I don't know how many years, 10 years probably, I've been spending over £150 a month probably on Starbucks, because when it's three quid a pop, and you might have one or two of them a day, I don't know, and suddenly it adds up over the course.
I'm getting you a coffee machine when you're back up and running.
Yeah, I think I need one. To be fair, I don't buy as many anymore, but it's easily done. When you add all that stuff up, you're soon kind of hitting a lot of money every month that you could be reprioritizing. And I guess people like convenience as well, don't they? And they like the now, and they don't think about long term sometimes in terms of their health, I suppose.
But I think that's an opportunity with lockdown. I was talking to my wife about this today, actually, that we've both enjoyed the forced slowdown and just being able to look at our lives and take stock of what we actually love about our lives. And one is looking after ourselves, so we've promised that we'll go for more bike rides, more walks, both focus on the gym a bit more. One is kind of working smarter rather than harder, so looking at our incomes, looking at what we do at work, what I do with my business, and making it work for me rather than having to work for it, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of people will come out the other side of this with that kind of mindset.
Yeah, for sure. And if you look at just even something like working from home, people are talking about that quite a lot, aren't they? In terms of, do people need to be commuting all the time, these long distances, hours every day? And or do they even need to work in the office? Some days can they work from home? Some days they have more time to themselves to do more stuff for themselves, whether that's health or, I bet you the amount of people that are going on walks, for example, I bet you they're clocking up significant miles compared to normal. And loads of people that are walking all the time, and you go back to work and suddenly, or you suddenly get your commute back in, or if you can't work from home or whatever, that'll suddenly all start dropping off, and people might have started to enjoy that. Like you said, time for yourself, prioritizing yourself a bit more, slowing down a bit more.
Yeah. So I think, to round things up and be entirely blunt with you, you know who you need to target. You absolutely spelled out in the last hour and however long the type of person you need to target to make your business work. Deadly silence.
I was waiting for the next bit. Absolutely.
I think it doesn't matter whether we're in a really deep recession or whether we're in a booming economy. There would be enough people to fill your gym and fill your business as you expand.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just getting the right messaging out there in the right format to the right people to make that happen. And we could go. It's another podcast, really, that one to get to that level of detail. But from everything you said, that there's absolutely no reason why you can't do that and continue to grow your business on the other side of this.
Yeah, there's going to be opportunities, isn't there? And mine's not a massive. My business isn't like mass numbers, like gym memberships where you need tons of people. It's kind of a much smaller scale in terms of volume of people through the door. So there absolutely will be plenty of that kind of market and local people that would still be looking for personal training. And we do physio. Everyone needs physio. Everyone needs injury rehabilitation. And I think the youth market could be a great one as well to kind of expand into and grow more stuff there. So there's always opportunities if you want to take the punt and go for it, isn't it? So
yeah, and I think you've got to bear in mind as well, you'll be operating in a much smaller marketplace on the other side, because there'll be personal trainers that have had to find other jobs, and the opportunities there for you.
Yeah, that's very true to grow into, because it's not just about whether a gym opens or closes as well. I suppose it's about whether.
Yeah, I genuinely don't think you're competing with gyms. I wouldn't have even had you on the podcast if I thought you were, because I'm friends with and members of a gym that I still use as much as I did before.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think people still will as well.
Yeah,
I don't see, and from the research, the surveys, people look like they're gonna carry on. So it's looking,
but
turn the same.
But what I meant is that your client would probably be members of a gym anyway.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, because we don't offer that, so that's something completely different.
It's like comparing a dentist and a hairdresser. You're two separate things.
That's true. I just meant in terms of whether PTs operating out of other gyms would take a hit, for example.
I'd argue you shouldn't be competing with them either, but that's another podcast too. So
yeah, true. I've got a different niche completely.
Yeah,
a completely different market, to be fair.
So how do people find you? What's your website?
Our website is www.salopia.eu.
And you're on all the normal social media channels too?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook. Instagram's @Salopia. And then Facebook is just search Salopia Health and Performance. We'll come up on there as well as Google.
Nice one. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah.